Well, like you did. It's called After the Rain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
that you mentioned Takashi, and that was like one of my first thoughts when I saw the trailer. But the rappers in that era, and then social media and all that stuff too. Like, you guys kind of leaned into what was happening in the world, right? And then made a great film, a funny film.
The funny thing about that is we wrote that script before Takashi was around.
You're kidding.
No.
Really?
So what? Yeah. So I wrote it in
So
2018.
you manifested Takashi into the real world.
Not really. Not really.
Your fault.
I wish I could take claim for that, but nah. No, but the thing was, I was getting fascinated by, again, because I come from the music industry. Actually, that's how I got into film, was because I was doing music videos, loved that. And then somebody showed me a commercial that they did, and I was like, dude, I'm marrying films and music, and I fell in love with that whole world, and that's how I ended up doing films. But I started seeing, like, it was interesting to me to see, like, how these young kids are just like, okay, they're putting up a song on SoundCloud, and the next day they're like, their shit is everywhere. Great. And not only the shit is everywhere, they're performing at a festival and they got 50,000 fans. And then they're talking shit, and it's making them more active, and now they're trolling. So the film became about more like a troll, and for me the first troll was 50, you know what I'm saying? Because his first song was a troll, and then the way he trolls is like nobody else, right? So he owned it. But then when I saw these young kids like taking it, I was like, oh, they're fucking geniuses, and it's funny, and but there's if you see the film, it's one of these cultures where it actually takes from him being a kid to like the end of the career, and it's really interesting because it's a film that kind of it starts out all funny, but then it just has a dark ending. You know what I'm saying?
I was interested in getting your take on that too. Like when you were creating it, were you thinking in your head? Because we all think of like comps if we're either writing or creating an idea, right? So were you more like Spring Breakers, or more of like, was that even out by the time you started that?
Yeah. Spring Breakers was
that
out. Spring
okay.
Breakers, yeah. Spring Breakers was way out. I had seen that a long time.
Like, what were some of the comps you were thinking of?
So I just was looking at what I was thinking of. Well, Popstar had came out. Remember Popstar with
Andy Samberg?
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw Popstar, and I thought it was funny, but it was one-sided, right? So I wanted to go deep.
A little over the top.
Yeah, it was a little over the top, but I wanted to go deep into. So my whole thing was because there was like a side of it that was dark, right? Because it's like they're trolling, but people are actually getting shot. They're trolling, and people actually. Yeah. It started influencing society where it's like, I felt like it started birthing these kids thinking like, okay, if I do this shit, if I call this guy out, if I do, and not knowing the circumstances that there's like real life circumstances, like you could actually get shot, you could actually get killed. So I started getting fascinated with that world and started getting obsessed with it. And then it was a lot of crazy stories that I started doing. I mean, there's a scene in there where he goes to an old age home. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that shit is, when you see it, it's fucking crazy. He goes to an old age home, and even when I sent the producer the script, she was like, "How are we gonna shoot this? Like, you have old ladies flashing the camera. You have like, yeah." I was like, I don't know. We'll just do it. We'll just hire old ladies. Like, you're not gonna get nobody. I was like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, nobody's gonna do saggy. I was like, all right, let's just do it. And it happened. You know what I'm saying? And it was funny as hell. But then there was a video where Cardi B, after we shot that, Cardi B goes to an old age home. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow!
It was crazy. Like everything we manifested, you'll see the movie. It's like it's linear. So it was just like, but you could see. Not to say that I could see the algorithm, but you see where you could see the. It was like a rock and roll story for me, right? It was like a biopic, but the modern biopic where it's like the rise and fall of a guy. But instead of always these rise and fall films are like, oh, they get into drugs, they get into the party
like
lifestyle.
Dewey Cox, I always think
Dewey
of,
Cox
like,
was great, you know what I'm saying? So I think that was the inspiration for like an After the Rain, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Where, because it's got like the, serious biopic elements, but also having fun. The, what'd you do to get into that character? I mean, you play such a unique role.
I just studied these kids and I found them fascinating, and I just like lived through them, you know what I mean? And I just, I think that's what it was. It was fun. They were doing fun shit. Like you can't, throwing shit out, saying dumb shit, trolling on it's fun. It is fun. So it was one of the funnest characters I ever played, to be honest with you. It was just fun as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
It seemed like it.
It was fun as fuck. But you know, and then you start thinking about it and you're like, oh wow, this is really weird. So and then again, I wanted to tell a bunch of stories how they're getting fucked in the music industry, how they're getting taken advantage of, and all of that kind of compels into it. So to get into the character, just, you know, I had really fun with it. I was like, let's play with the cosmetics, let's play with everything, and just go.
Awesome.
On the PBD podcast, they were talking about how, you know, they had a Harvard professor on.
I just saw that. I just saw one of the clips where he was talking about DEI, or I mean, was it that guy, the guy with the dreads, right?
Same guy.
Yeah,
same guy. So they were talking about how they were also referencing a Bill Maher Ice Cube clip,
right,
where Ice Cube was talking about how, like,
the prison reform situation, right?
Or right, in regards to, did the CIA and FBI potentially set up gangster rap in order to imprison more people to fill the prison systems, because there's someone who's like an owner of a prison and also the owner of a record label. I'm not saying I believe in any of this. I'm not saying any of it's a fact, YouTube. But did that factor into like any of the stuff you were going, not specifically those conspiracies, but more of like what started gangster rap? How did we end up here? Why are these kids doing this? In that sense, if that even...
It makes sense. So for me, because I saw both clips. I saw the Bill Maher clip with Ice Cube, which was perfect person because he started. He was like, you know, Straight Outta Compton was the kind of the biggest selling gangster rap album, and probably one of my top 20 albums still of all time. Yeah, I think this situation comes along, which is gangster rap, and then I feel that people figure out ways to manipulate it. And my story wasn't more about the jail system, and that's a whole other story, but mine was more about the label side, and, you know, this idea of they see this kid pop in, they see that he's got a bunch of views right over here, so let's take it, and then instead of guiding him and mentoring him, like, yo, go buy some houses or invest some real estate. You know, think about your career. Maybe you want to start having some acting lessons. They say, no, go buy these chains and keep the trolling, because every time you're trolling, you're selling records. And then, so it was the constant encouragement of keep getting the bullshit instead of, you know, keep feeding the bullshit. So I do think a lot of labels, and there was a situation, I won't name the artist, but there was a situation that I know that it was an actual label executive, and the artist did a video, and the song had to deal with the topic of murder, and somebody that knew them, they held that video back. I knew the guy who did the video. They held the video back, never released the video. The kid gets charged for murder, and all of a sudden the next day the video's out.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So I do believe that there's opportunists. I believe like my main thing for the film was because there was no guidance. You know what I mean? You know, you look at somebody like Ice Cube, right, where he was just not necessarily that he was a gangster, but he was a poet telling Nas and all these guys. There's poets telling you what they see, and they're putting it together in words, and it's brilliant, right? It's nice. But all those guys, you see their careers. I mean, look at what Ice Cube did. He ended up not only starting his record label, but then starting the film stuff with John Singleton. He had
making movie money,
movie money, and then, you know, now having the basketball league. I mean, and he created an empire, and he's a positive role model out of a situation that came out.
Yeah,
that's not happening with these kids right now. You know what I'm saying? They're just you know, and again, they're just getting dumped into the bullshit.
What comes back to that? Go ahead.
I do the closing thought, and I'll shut up. I promise.
You liar.
No, swear to God, I'm gonna shut up. Even if it was some sort of conspiracy, the reason F the Police blew up is because you can't deny that was a real sentiment being felt by that community at the time, and it was the biggest cultural revolution of our lifetime. Nothing even close. So you can say it's set up, but I like how you said like opportunist, right? It's more of like reacting to something that's real, right? Like, anyway, I'll shut up.
I mean, I'm not saying this just to say I actually forgot what I was going to say.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video.
And subscribe and hit the bell for a whole lot more to come.